With age comes wisdom, experience, and a whole lot of unexpected changes. Welcome to Dad Brain, where two best friends share their journeys through the ups and downs of their 30s. Get ready for the raw and honest realities of growing older. Here are your hosts, Matt K. and Matt L.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Dad Brain. And talking out of the red corner, my co-host, Matt, Big Pudding Snatcher L.
How did you know about my nickname, the Big Pudding Snatcher?
It's on Instagram. I was going to call you the chocolate starfish, the American chocolate starfish, but Fred Durst might try and sue us,
So with the Big Baby Pudding Snatcher, that was my old Instagram name. I now go by Gooey Butter Cakes. But I did
Don't reinvent yourself this early on, okay?
But I did name my iPhone the Big Baby Pudding Snatcher. But that's enough about snatching pudding. Let's talk about this guy sitting right next to me. This is Matt K, ladies and gentlemen. And let me just tell you a little fun fact about him. And we never share these intros ahead of time. This man proposed to his wife in a Santa Claus outfit. And I think the story needs to be told here on the Dad Brain Pod.
I think there needs to be a picture to go with this to really...
Yeah, so let me just, in 3, 2... There it is.
How in depth to the story do I need to go? Like, do I go weeks back? Or
what were
like
you
the
thinking? Was this planned out? The audience wants the context as to why a drunken Santa Claus thought it would be a great idea to propose.
Well,
give us the story.
I love a good surprise. I love to be surprised. I love to genuinely surprise people, especially my wife, because she is oblivious to things going on around her. So it's sporting. It's fun. I had her convinced that I bought a car to make her think that we didn't have money to buy an engagement ring. Let's go there.
It's pretty good misdirection.
And then got another friend involved to convince her that I was buying a snowmobile. Really pissing her off at this point. You
were buying everything except for the engagement ring.
Little did she know, the ring was stashed away in the house. I got the ring 4 months before I proposed, 5 months. I had it a while, but I knew I had to wait because we always do a big, ugly sweater party.
It's a thing of legend.
It's a shit show. It's great. And the night before, a couple nights before, I moved the hiding spot of the ring. As soon as she set up the Christmas tree, which, if you know my wife, she's obsessed with Christmas. The Christmas tree goes up. If it weren't for me promising nuclear warfare, the Christmas tree would probably be up till fucking Easter. And we have an ornament that is like a little clamshell thing that opens up that my aunt had gifted her when we first started dating. So like a week before the party, when she put the Christmas tree up, the ring's hidden in there. Now, to get to the fun part, night of ugly sweater party, we have an ugly sweater contest. I'm winning this thing because I'm in a Santa onesie that I've cut the legs off because I'm sweating my ass off.
The audience has seen it at this point, so they're already horrified.
The hair, everything. So she's wearing like the most bullshit ugly sweater too. No offense, son. It wasn't a winner, but I pretended that she was the winner. And she's like opening the prize. And meanwhile, I kneel down behind her. Boom, everybody gasps. She turns around. I get the ring. She cries. It's a great time.
It really was. I was there for that magical moment, and it really was. It was just great because, I mean, you were a disheveled Santa Claus. You look like Santa Claus went on a bender and missed a couple houses.
I mean, basically did.
Yeah.
Let's be fair. I look worse than I do now, which is saying something.
Before we get into the topic of today's episode, you were talking about how you love surprises and surprising people. I want to know about a time where one of these surprises kind of went awry and didn't go as planned. So has that ever happened, either with your wife or not? Preferably with your wife.
Well, that one went awry. I got in a bunch of trouble because I didn't tell her best friend about it. I didn't show her best friend the ring or do any of that stuff.
Best friend had to inject herself in the conversation.
She was not happy with me.
Yeah.
And will never let me live it down.
I mean, if your wife is happy, then that's all that matters, right? You're not fucking the best friend, so there's no say so there. But when I saw that drunken Santa Claus on that night, have you ever seen when Stone Cold Steve Austin beat the shit out of Santa Claus?
No.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say I looked like Mick Foley.
I mean, you looked like all three Mick Foleys rolled into one. Cactus Jack, Mankind, and Dude Love. Just all as one. But yeah, Stone Cold Steve Austin, for some reason he had a vendetta against Santa Claus. And the Santa Claus that he stunnered kind of looked like your outfit. So you need to seek that clip out. It was definitely a beautiful thing.
Well, I'm glad for your encyclopedic knowledge of professional wrestling.
But yeah, no, I do have a little bit of an encyclopedic knowledge of wrestling, and at the time of this recording, it is WrestleMania season. But my love of professional wrestling, which kind of ties into our topic today, our topic of TV shows that we loved growing up, right? And I'll honestly start because it has to start with wrestling. My cousin, yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to ask you before we start into that, what's the gestation of your love for pro wrestling? Our opinions differ, but where did that start for you?
Yeah, it started with my cousin. My cousin loved wrestling, and she can still to this day tell you everything about wrestling. And we would just watch Monday Night Raw, watch Stone Cold Steve Austin, watch Bret Hart, go to the live events. One of my first memories as a child is actually being at SummerSlam 1992 at the Palace Auburn Hills, RIP. But yeah, it was really my cousin loving it. And because when we were growing up, it was my brother, my cousin, and myself all being watched by our grandma. So when we'd get home from school, we would watch wrestling and rent the tapes from the video store because nobody was paying $20 for the pay-per-views. But yeah, that's really where my love of it came from, was my cousin's love for it. And still, she loves it, and I'm still an avid watcher.
So can I ask, where were you, or how did you witness the Hitman when he died? I mean, that would have been big, right?
This is so funny because, as the audience knows, the Hitman didn't die. His brother died. Owen.
It's not funny.
The Hitman is alive and well.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry, Hitman.
Yeah.
I was trying to sound cool, like I knew a nickname here.
The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, Bret Hart. But his brother, Owen Hart, died. And it happened live on pay-per-view. And there's no footage of it actually happening. This tape is stored in the WWE archives and just never been seen by anybody. So everybody who was at that event saw it happen right before them, and the show still went on. So that was, I don't remember watching that pay-per-view or anything, but obviously, yeah, I remember the death of Owen Hart vividly.
Now, break that down. He was supposed to be wrestling against Sting, right? And the whole thing was they were coming down from the rafters, and there was a equipment malfunction.
So yes, there was an equipment malfunction. Sting was in WCW at the time, which was a rival wrestling promotion. I'm just trying to think of all the better stuff that I could have knowledge of, but nope, here it is. It's wrestling. But yeah, no, he had a carabiner, and the carabiner let go, and he plummeted to his death from 75 feet up in the air. He was actually wrestling what's known as a dark match, A dark match happens before the pay-per-view, and it's usually like trying to highlight new talent. It's really just for the audience at home. So that's the reason why it wasn't televised, because it was a dark match.
Okay, so he wasn't wrestling against Sting.
No,
I
but
just
Sting,
asked that because the only memory I have of a Sting was him coming down from the rafters by a rope at one point. I think with a baseball bat or some shit like that.
Yeah, no, you're spot on.
Sting was wont to do. So I always, because one, that happened when I was so young, and I'm not as into wrestling as you. I always conflate those two memories, those two incidences.
Yeah, because Sting used to come down from the rafters. He would have his crow makeup on, have the baseball bat. But yeah, he was in WCW, and Owen Hart was in the WWF at the time. Have you heard of the different gimmicks that some wrestlers have had? You know, there was a dentist in the WWF. His name was Isaac Yankem, and that guy went on to become Kane. And then there was a guy, yes.
He's a governor.
And now he's a governor of Tennessee, yeah. No, mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee, rather.
Yeah.
And then you also had Duke the Dumpster Droese, which he was basically just a hobo and a garbage man. So the gimmicks of early 90s pro wrestling, it was all character-based. And you're talking a lot about Sting, and Sting, he had the crow makeup when he was in WCW, but before that, he was wearing like bright, vibrant face paint, and he did a lot of work with Ric Flair, like in the 80s.
I was about to say that. He sounds like a Ric Flair. Woo!
Yeah, a lot of great rivalries there. But probably my favorite wrestling gimmick was they had an actual pimp on WWF. His name was the Godfather, and he had hoes. And the hoes would come to the ring, and they would dance around his opponent, dance around him to distract them. He would call it the hoe train. And yeah, that's just early 90s TV, right? So like unfiltered. That's why it was called the Attitude Era, because you had a dentist, you had a garbage man, you had the big boss man who was an actual cop, and then you had the Godfather who was pimping hoes. Like, you missed out, man.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Of course.
Which WWE girl got your motor running the most? And this is, I'm talking adolescent, discovering yourself.
Yeah.
First time erection, Matt L. Go.
Okay, so she is Brock Lesnar's.
No
I'll start
shit.
that again.
Same.
She is Brock Lesnar. Well, let me fucking say it then. She is Brock Lesnar's wife. Her name was Sable. Sable, yes.
Rena Miro.
There you go.
I mean, her and Trish Stratus.
Trish Stratus is actually wrestling at WrestleMania this year.
Wow.
And yeah, like if you haven't seen an updated photo of Trish Stratus, yeah, I don't know how old she is, but she
kept it together.
Yeah, definitely. But I actually met Sable at Autorama. Do they still do that in Detroit?
They do.
Yeah. So she was at Autorama, and this was when she was in Playboy, because my dad bought me the Playboy of Sable. And I can't remember if there was, I don't know if it was like fully nude or anything, but
Father of the year.
Yeah, for sure. Big fake tits. That's the kind of that was the dad brain that my dad was working with at the time. Like,
nice.
If he's gonna get introduced to porno, it's gonna be from me. God damn it! That was the porn my dad decided to give me because it had Sable in it.
Well, but that was a rite of passage for every kid our age. The first porno was Playboy.
Not mine. Mine was not Playboy, actually.
It was way worse.
No, my dad thought my first porno was Playboy. But little did my father know that was not my first venture into the porno game. It was actually a film that I found in his dresser drawer.
Why were you going through his dresser drawer?
Trying to find porn.
So you knew about it. Okay.
I had an inkling.
I accidentally found this going through your shit.
I mean, it was a VHS, and I remember it holding it in my hand, and the label was kind of rubbed off. But I will take this porno's name to my grave because the name of this porno, and you might have heard of it, it's called T-Babes in Bonerville. Okay? So, T-Babes, I'm not sure exactly what that meant. I think it might have meant transvestite babes. So I don't know what Dad was into. I don't remember any of the content of the video. I remember this vividly. I just remember like that name of it. And then like later that week is when the Sable Playboy came out to bring it full circle. Did your parents like, did they
No,
like
my parents never gave me a porno.
No, I was going to say like, did they restrict the things that you watched? Like,
No, I mean, I was watching, Thursday Night SmackDown was not appropriate for somebody who is 10 years old.
Definitely.
I mean, they didn't like restrict, but I mean, no, I mean, full-blown porn, no. But like, they weren't, my parents are pretty open people, so they didn't lie about anything. So like, if I asked, what sex was, they would just say it. They'd be like, yeah that's what it is. They figure the more you know, the less trouble you can get into.
That's a great way of handling it. And with the dad brain that's on my shoulders, that's how I'm going to handle those interactions as well. If you ask me those questions, I'm just going to answer truthfully. Unless it's about Santa Claus or some shit, I'm not willing to ruin my child's life.
Don't ever show them the picture of me.
Yeah, like this is Santa Claus. Oh man, this is so off topic, but I am always looking on Facebook Marketplace just for gems, and I found someone in the area that I live in who is advertising their services as the Easter Bunny. For $25, this person will come to your house, hop around, leave bunny marks next to your child's bed, and also give you homemade chocolate. What are your thoughts?
Sorry, I'm not wasting the money on that.
$25?
I don't want that person. It sounds like a great way to case your house too.
Yes.
I'm paying Peter Cottontail to look at all the shit he can steal from me. Sorry, not happening.
No, that's a great point because their Facebook profile picture is them in the bunny costume.
Yeah, no.
So this might be...
I want to be able to prejudge a little bit.
Yeah. Need a little bit of verification.
Yeah.
Send
me some references.
So you were watching SmackDown. I was watching wrestling. Right. Did you watch South Park when it first came out, like when it was first airing?
No.
Because that would be my number 2 show.
I don't know why. I think my parents just didn't know about it either. And we didn't have cable.
Oh, okay. So, now we're getting to it.
So a lot of my
Did you have the bunny ears? Did you have the bunny ears?
At one point, yeah. A lot of my later in the day programming was all like nonfiction, like PBS, Nova, a lot of that stuff.
Oh gosh.
Because I mean, and then also my parents were into like crime dramas, as all
cop drama
old people seem to be into. Which is probably why I can't stand them to this day.
But if you were looking at like the TV shows that you grew up with, like, okay, maybe South Park wasn't there when it was actually like airing live, but that, I think we're in alignment there, right? Like that would be a show that, yeah.
I mean, honestly, probably the greatest and most divisive show. Like, it's either I know somebody's got a good sense of humor and they're a good person when they love South Park. If somebody doesn't love it and they think it's racist or unfunny or cruel even, I know deep down they're probably not good people.
Yeah.
Because they believe the shit that's being said. They don't understand it's satire.
I want to take this a step further. I had a Facebook friend, and they just made a post, and it was said like, South Park is like whack as fuck now. Like, and I immediately unfriended that person. I said, well, we've come to the end. We had a good run. But growing up, like, I watched South Park from the pilot episode on, and I would watch it with my dad. He'd be half in the bag. He went to, I think it was Spencer's Gifts, and got me like the Kenny shirt. I had the Carmen shirt. I had a Carmen that you would like press his hand, and it would like say like, God damn it. Yeah, shit like that. Like, it was great. And then for 1 year, I asked for a box of Cheesy Poofs for Christmas. And they actually had branded Cheesy Poofs from South Park that they sold at Spencer's Gifts.
You know, they used to have Duff beer too.
I think they still have Duff beer.
But the couple questions about South Park. One, I feel like they've toned down the torridness of it a little bit. Like, it's kind of cheeky.
You got to stop using this big ass language. What is torridness? Isn't that a fat girl store?
No, I don't know. But torrid is kind of like more dirty and like almost grotesque, right?
I don't think so.
I remember at the beginning. Here, I'll Google the definition.
It's very hot and dry, full of difficulty or tribulation. And just to give some context to the audience, used another word incorrectly today. So you should really dial back this vocabulary you're attempting to bestow on everybody.
I'm fucked up today.
It's just a trial of errors, really.
I'm having a bad day, okay?
Okay, so...
but anyways, it was... Yeah. Remember, it was... One, I mean, the jokes were way worse. And you had... Cartman's mom was like a hoe. And it was like graphic. I mean, she fucked Bill Cosby without Bill Cosby doing the Bill Cosby things.
And all the Denver Broncos.
Yeah. And, you know, they had Starvin' Marvin. Like, they are not that. They don't take those risks anymore.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there's some points where I almost miss that.
I think those risks have become more like calculated and not just to like do them to be in the conversation, right?
More
like,
nuanced.
South Park is such a part of the zeitgeist that like no matter what's happening, they're going to be on top of it. They're going to talk about it, as where before with the show, they had to kind of inject themselves in the conversation and show their nuance and show their satire through that.
Yeah. Nice use of zeitgeist.
Yeah, I had to one up your ass. I did use it correct.
One up me. You could have used the word "the" as long as you use it in the right place in a sentence. I'm 0 for 2 today. All right.
So I'm saying if I'm looking at my top 3, I have wrestling, I got South Park, and my third one. You know, I think I actually want to change my third one because your ass didn't have fucking cable. So this is going to be, if I'm at those younger ages, this one's going to resonate with you because you didn't have cable. Dude, I fucked with Arthur.
Oh,
okay?
Yeah, PBS. I said
PBS. I know. That's what I'm saying. You had PBS.
Hold on. I'm surprised you left this one out because I know this is kind of your thing. You didn't get down on Pokemon?
Oh, no. I absolutely loved Pokemon and still do, obviously.
Right.
But I was
like, you're wearing a soccer jersey. What are you talking about?
I shifted it for you because I knew you didn't have cable, and Pokemon was on Cartoon Network and the WB.
No, the WB was on regular TV.
Yeah, but like you're totally a Digimon guy.
No.
Or Yu-Gi-Oh or
Beyblades.
Beyblades.
Okay, hold on. Real talk. It pains me to admit this. I still have all the Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Blue Eyes
At my
White
parents'
Dragon.
house. no, right next to where I keep my virginity, I have a giant box full of every Yu-Gi-Oh. We used to play Yu-Gi-Oh in middle school at lunch. We were nerds. Like, I was into D&D, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh. I never got into the Pokemon trading card game. Still not a fan of it. But MTG and Yu-Gi-Oh and Dungeons & Dragons were like, that was my middle school. Like, that's what we did. And then even early on in high school, I was on the wrestling team and I was in the Dungeons & Dragons club.
Yeah, and that's okay. That means you have balance. But we got to go back to Arthur, okay? Because Arthur, I'm putting that in my top 3 because that was an everyday show that I'd watch before school. And then it would be on again after I got home from school. So it was like the beginning of my day and like the bookend of like my school day.
All right, hold on. What do you think about Recess?
I never watched Recess.
You didn't fuck with Recess.
I couldn't tell you anything about Recess.
Patty Mayonnaise. Oh, dude.
Patty Mayonnaise is from Doug.
Oh, you're right. That is from Doug.
So tell me an actual Recess character, you diehard fan.
I don't. I'm thinking Doug. I gotta complain, dude.
Wait, whose cable were you stealing to watch Doug? That was on Nickelodeon.
On Real TV too.
No, it was on Nickelodeon, dude.
Nah, you could watch on Real TV too.
Just be honest. You opened up your bedroom window and you snaked a coaxial cable from your neighbor's cable box to your TV. This is a safe space.
No, you were really into Jersey Shore.
Oh,
you were a Jersey Shore douche.
Still am.
Look at the hair. Frosted.
We don't pump our gas, we pump our fists, Matt. You know, we had a Jersey Shore party. We had a Jersey We had a Jersey Shore party in college. I organized the whole entire thing and didn't show up to my own party. But we bought blacklight light bulbs. I think I had my DJ equipment set up, but I just never. I think I put it on a loop or something, right? I don't know. I wasn't there.
No,
was it
you
whack?
bailed. You didn't even answer your phone. Nobody knew who you were.
Yeah, I mean, Jersey Shore had everything, and it's such a fun show to watch back because it's on Pluto TV now. Because now you know kind of like the backstory that they were all on drugs during the first and second season. Like, there's so many instances where they're like filming them and you can like see them doing like a bump of coke if you're paying attention. Like, that's how rampant the drug use was on Jersey Shore, which that wasn't the reason I was watching the show. I was watching the show because it was hilarious. They had the fucking grenade whistle, right? Like, they had
grenade whistle. I love that.
Yeah, the grenade whistle
terrible.
Because you got to fall on a grenade. And yeah, I mean, I still love Jersey Shore. I don't know what they're doing with all this family vacation shit because MTV is basically unwatchable at this point.
Yeah, Jersey Day.
Yeah, Jersey Day. They're going on family vacation. Mike's out of rehab.
Yeah. How do you feel about MTV now compared to MTV in the 90s? When it was MTV.
Have you watched MTV recently? Like, have you sat down and actually watched a block of programming?
You know the story about ridiculousness, right?
What about ridiculousness?
So at my cabin, it is 90% of the time the only show we can get to come in. We have cable up there too. For some reason, the TV is always on ridiculousness.
Yeah. Every episode of Ridiculousness is the exact same format. They've been doing it for just as long as Catfish. And all it tells me about MTV is there's no more original ideas. And all the boomers always say, like, play music videos and all this stuff. But, like, even artists don't really make music videos anymore because there's no return on investment for doing so.
I remember being young, and my dad was super cool. Is super cool. And he thought it was a good idea for us young, formative mind children to watch Beavis and Butthead Do America.
Great movie.
I thought I almost died. I almost suffocated from laughing as I was probably like 11. So even a lot of the jokes would have gone over my head. Still so funny that I thought I was going to die laughing.
Saw it in theaters, man. I'm right there with you. I mean, that was a hilarious movie.
I think the same time I saw Beavis and Butthead Do America, I also saw Rugrats Repto's Return in theaters. That's the the dichotomy of my formative years was watching that kiddie shit and then also Species, the movie, and Beavis and Butthead Do America.
Okay, so are you talking about Runaway Reptar or Reptar's Revenge?
No, not even that. What was the first one?
Well, the first one was it was just the Rugrats movie. And then they had the Rugrats in Paris.
Never saw that.
Yeah, I mean...
It must have just been the Rugrats movie. I've never heard of Rugrats in Paris.
That was the one that I remember. Because if... that would be another show if we extended this list that we've been discussing today to like 5 or 10. Like Rugrats would definitely be on there. Because like that show was just... It wasn't even like so like funny or anything. I just remember that was like such a formative part of my childhood was watching Rugrats, Tommy Pickles, Chucky Finster. If your hair was red, you would kind of be like a Chucky Finster type.
No.
Yeah.
But you're not with glasses.
It's a solid point.
You look more like Chucky than I do, okay?
But yeah, that was a great show too.
Lately, I've been reverting to watching... They're not really documentaries, but there's a whole series of mighty cruise ships on the Smithsonian Channel. And it's literally how to run different cruise lines. You got to watch it.
Can you give me some more here?
No, that's what it is. Like you follow the day-to-day of the crew. But it's not like reality TV. It's like a docu-series.
Yeah.
And it's all these different cruise lines. And
it's like
you
a
can
floating
spend
city, man.
4 hours watching it and not be able to read back a single person's name, a single event, and you're still just sucked into it.
I mean, those cruise ships, they're mini cities, right? They have their own police forces, multiple kitchens, like housekeeping services. Like they have everything. So yeah, that would be a really interesting show to watch. Is it kind of is it maybe giving you that cruise bug a little bit?
No.
Gonna jump on the boat?
Actually, I'm gonna tell you right now, I think it ruined it a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
What ruined it for you?
Every like little thing that goes wrong on the cruise ships seems like a giant annoyance. So literally I watched 4 to 5 hours of this series yesterday, and the only thing I can tell you was on one of the cruise lines, I think it was an Australian cruise line. It was like Spirit of something. The PA system messed up, and for an hour, every 15 minutes, it kept sounding an alarm over the PA system across the whole ship.
Okay. But
to me, that's like, something about me, I was like, I will never go on a cruise ship in case that happens.
That's such a minor thing, Matt. You got to remember, too, like, at that point, you're already on the boat. You're probably sitting at the bar with a drink in your hand. If you're in the adults area, you got a cigarette in your hand, too. You're living life. You're not paying attention to the alarm going off and everything like that. We're going to get you on a cruise ship here in the future. I mean, I got 2 cruise ports right here. 3.
Maybe. One thing that it was making me think about, I would really like to go on a vacation with my parents.
Oh, okay.
I have, as an adult, and I have not gone on vacation with my parents.
Do you have like a destination in mind? Like,
I mean, my parents are really big into fishing, so I mean, a cruise I think would be cool. I mean, I'd love to go to northern Michigan with them because that's nostalgia for me. Grew up them dragging me to Lake Huron, But I think it'd also be nice for them to go somewhere exotic. And we've kicked around Vegas a lot because my mom loves Vegas. and my dad has a good time there. So we've kicked that around. Vegas can be done fairly cheaply, fairly quickly, fairly easily.
But there's nothing quite like summertime in northern Michigan. And you got to remember,
it's easier to organize.
You got to remember too that there are casinos in northern Michigan. Because if I were in that same position where I wanted to take my parents on a vacation, they would need a casino. But guess where else there's casinos, Matt? On cruise ships. Okay? So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Can do all the things. It's going to happen.
Well, it's definitely, hopefully by a, end of July episode, I can regale you with a story of going on vacation with my parents.
Yeah, no, that's time that is just so precious, and no matter what you do, you're going to enjoy yourself because it's one of those things that you don't have a lot of opportunities to do so. So I really hope you prioritize doing that. Just like I hope our viewers prioritize hitting that subscribe button on the YouTube page, following us on all the social media channels at DadBrainPod.
Hold on. I'm an idiot.
What?
I did go on vacation with my parents. We went to Arizona last September for my sister's wedding. We were there.
Well, I'm not cutting anything.
I'm a moron.
It took you that long to kind of realize, like, oh, I've already done this. It kind of sucked ass.
Oh, I spent the whole time sleeping because it was fucking Arizona and it was hot as balls. Anyway, I'm a moron.
Yeah.
So this has been a fun episode. It's been a walk down memory lane. Thanks for taking there. We held hands a little bit, took a stroll, skipped to our loo. We'll do this next time.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Follow us on all the social media platforms. And we'll see you next time for another episode of 3, 2, 1. Dad Brain. Thanks for watching.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Dad Brain. New episodes come out every Sunday. Don't miss any. Subscribe today wherever you listen to podcasts. While you are there, help spread the word about Dad Brain by leaving a rating and review. Can't get enough Dad Brain? Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at DadBrainPod.